Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. This is J.R. Moore coming to you live deep in the mountains of the Missouri Ozarks on Monday, the 11th day of December, year of our Lord 2017. Welcome to the John Moore Show. We have breaking news. About an hour and a half ago, the Religion of Peace left their calling card in downtown Manhattan in a subway. Pipe bomb explosion. 2 people hurt, one being the member of the Religion of Peace. The other person is an innocent bystander. The condition of the 2 people is not known. The member of the Religion of Peace is now in custody. And so the speculation is that the bomb went off prematurely. And there's some video available on Drudge Report you can look at if you choose to. Prepper tip of the day. It's a recommendation. 2 books I've read myself that I highly recommend. The first is titled Boston's Gun Bible. Boston's Gun Bible. The author is Boston Tea, initial Tea Party. That's a pseudonym, obviously. His real name is Kenneth Royce, but you won't find it under Kenneth Royce, although Mr. Royce does have his own Amazon page. And the book has gone through different editions. You may have some difficulty collecting all of them. I think there's 3 editions, but it's certainly worthwhile. The other book is titled The Ultimate Sniper, Updated and Expanded Version by Major John Plaster, Plaster. Excellent book, very well done. If you're interested in that area of expertise, I think it's probably the single best volume that you can get your hands on. We have patient Wayne in the green room, my friend Jimmy Ginsling. Jimmy is the proprietor of Desert Eagle Shooters, that website being deserteagleshooters.com. Good morning, Jimmy.
Good morning, sir. Hopefully the audio is working okay this time.
Sounds pretty good. Yeah.
Good.
Well, every Monday we anxiously await the firearms tip of the week. What would that be this week, sir?
The firearm tip of the week that we have this week comes from a friend of ours at the gun show this weekend. I actually heard him talking with another young lady, and they were discussing a couple of different things on the table, and then got into discussing self-defense and things like that. And Clark looked at her, and he goes, well, I like what you've been doing on your training and everything. How do you do when you shoot from under your car? And the young lady looked at him and goes, what? And he goes, shooting under your car. And the tip of the week is that in your training practice, not necessarily drive your car out onto the shooting range and everybody else think it's a free-for-all and a new target. But this was Clark's suggestion, and I find it marvelous. Find a couple of regular-sized center-tile bricks and let them know what you're going to do at your shooting range so they don't get any weird ideas of scattering concrete anywhere. But put them on upright, the tall side, at the edge of your shooting lane, and put either a board, it can be a pipe, it can be anything it can be a broom handle. And what this is doing is giving you a height of about 8 to 12 inches, depending on whose blocks that you get. And your target is the other end, and practice shooting lane on your side, left side, right side, any side, underneath the item that's laying across the bricks at your target. Once you get good at that, Clark says then lay them down the way they would normally be stacked in a wall and practice shooting under that. And marvelous, marvelous training. We had done things similar like that in my training in the military. We used barricades. And the barricade would have a slot at the bottom, some of them 4 inches off the ground, some of them 8 inches off the ground. Some really sick individuals would occasionally make them from the ground 6 inches up.
Uh-huh.
So your rifle is actually laying on the ground sideways and practicing that way. Reason for this, ladies and gentlemen, is if you are in a parking garage, a parking lot. Say you're at a car dealership and helping a family member or friend pick out a car, and someone decides that this is a good time to rob the place or cause mayhem. John and I have often talked about seeking cover. Concealment is the trunk of the car. Bullets go through that very easily. Cover is the engine end of the car, which helps stop bullets from coming through it. But you don't want to raise up and not necessarily peek around the car. Learn how to shoot from underneath it. And I thought that was a marvelous thing that Clark had brought up talking to the young lady, and I thought it would be a great thing to pass on this morning.
It is. It is. And that's a great firearms tip of the week. We do thank you for that, Jimmy. All right. I guess you heard the breaking news at the top of the hour. The Religion of Peace is making sure that the world knows for a fact that they are the Religion of Peace. You know, ISIS, in particular, one branch of the Religion of Peace. And we need to keep in mind, Jimmy, that the president of Turkey, Erdogan, he says there's no such thing as moderate Islam or radical Islam. There's just Islam.
There's Islam.
Now,
yes.
I would think that if you're the president of a major Muslim country, that you might know a thing or two about Islam, wouldn't you?
I would suspect, considering
you would
you've
suspect
got a couple
so.
of million
Yeah,
of
so
them.
I will take that to the bank and take President Erdogan at his word as being a trusted, respected authority on Islam, since he is, in fact, the president of a major Muslim country, where most men, by the way, have never have and never will read a book, by the way, because they can't, which is a different story. But here we are Monday morning, the 11th day of December, 2017. I was looking at images of New Yorkers taken an hour and a half ago of them escaping the subway there in New York and riding down the escalator and so forth. My heart goes out to these people. They, by circumstance, they're occupying one of the most a very densely populated area, tempting target for the Religion of Peace, which grows even more tempting in about 3 weeks from now when they have that annual celebration there in Times Square, where you've got about 1 million people packed shoulder to shoulder in a very tightly small area, relatively small area. I think that people living in that area might want to reconsider their life choices. What do you think, Jimmy?
Oh, yeah. Like I said, well, you said literally, we woke up to it just a bit ago. And, if you look, ladies and gentlemen, at the news that has been coming out now since last week, when Trump did what was only natural, ladies and gentlemen, I don't care if you like him or not. If countries around the world refused to accept that Washington, D.C. was the capital of the United States, you would be beside yourself. If countries refused to accept that London was the capital of Britain, you would be beside yourself. Since Israel has been in place, Jerusalem has been the capital. And the only reason that U.S. presidents have not recognized it is they're afraid to offend someone. Tough cookies. These people get up in the morning offended. That is my opinion, John.
Right. Well, for decades, the Palestinian people, and Palestine is not now, never has been a country, by the way. It's simply a province of Jordan, is all Palestine's ever been. It would be like trying to call Illinois a country. You know, Illinois is just one part of the United States. Palestine was just part of Jordan, is all it's ever been. There's no more Palestinian people than there are Illinois people. They just occupy a section of Jordan where it used to be Jordan. But regardless, if the Muslims didn't want to have their territory occupied, They shouldn't have started a war half a century ago that they lost. It's their fault. They're the ones that started the war. And in June of 1967, they started the war. They lost the war. They lost real estate. Get over it.
Exactly. You don't have do-overs in war. And I'm sorry, ladies and gentlemen. We talk about firearms. We talk about self-defense. We talk about personal protection. And what I'm trying to figure out how to put this thought into words. Personal protection of any form starts with your thought process. The hardest part that 99% of concealed carry and open carry and the gun culture has never dealt with. And I'm not saying this, ladies and gentlemen, as any kind of a dig or anything. Please do not accept it that way. But John has been there. I have been there. Numerous of our friends have been there. The taking of a life. And we practice. We shoot at silhouettes every time we go to the range. We perfect our skills. And until it comes down to a person setting off a bomb in your neighborhood, until it comes with a guy or several people that has now been pretty much proven in Las Vegas shooting up people, all the training goes out the door. These people in New York have been quiet, everything. It's been a long time since 9/11. There are several people working there that were not alive or were just babies when this happened. And their whole world, on Fox News just a moment ago, they were talking to some lady, and I would say she was probably mid-30s. Mid-20s. And what took me back so quickly was she goes, I don't understand this. And of everything else that she said, and the questions they asked her, because she evidently was not that far from where this happened, what sticks in my head is I don't understand this. John said it best a while ago. The religion of peace. Go back to the movie Independence Day when they've got the alien locked up in Area 51. And the president's trying to reason with it. And he goes, peace, there is no peace. And he asks the alien, he says, what do you want us to do? And the alien's very point blank, die.
Right.
That, ladies and gentlemen, is the mentality of these people.
Right.
And the threat, the reason I brought up Jerusalem, the moment that Trump signed that, every Arab country, Islamic country, started saying that the United States had just created the greatest sin. That the United States is now a target. We are going to destroy it. Now, this may be some whack job that did it on his own. Amazingly enough, within minutes of it, ISIS has already taken responsibility of it.
Well, New York police said that from the get-go. Jimmy, we got a caller in holder. We got Rick in Missouri. Good morning, Rick.
Good morning, Rick.
Good morning, Jimmy. Good morning, John. Well, yeah, with respect to Jerusalem, a couple things. First of all, I was promised 3 days of rage, and I expect quality. I am waiting, I'm waiting, but, you know how these people, they make a habit out of lying, so we'll just have to see what happens. The video of the Jewish school teacher with her kids on a field trip and the carbine slung over her back. Listen, I'm all for it. Who was it? I keep saying it was Wyatt Earp that said an armed society is a polite society, but I'm told that was not. That. Yeah, well, yeah, I don't know who said it, but maybe it was Samuel Clemens. Anyway, whoever said it was thinking, and I'm all for it. Every day, some people know when I get home in the afternoon, there's a gigantic dog who isn't mine waiting and I have to take him home. When I do, I have a 1911 in my belt. When I go out to get the eggs at night and close the chickens up, I've got a 1911. And my wife says, you're acting like your father. And I said, yeah, except, when my father was alive, we didn't have this problem with meth and crack and Muslims. I mean, now there's probably a reason to be armed. I mean, back when he was doing it, he was just playing maybe cowboy. Anymore now, the way things are going, it's, I think I had it right with the AR pistol. I mean, I'm all for the short guns. I really am. But like James Rawls said, the point of a short gun is to fight your way back to your long gun, and I do believe that.
On a brighter note, that is good mentality.
Yeah, if you guys want to see something funny, and I would inspire you to do this, on the streets of Jerusalem are two, I guess these are Hasidic Jews. They got the long, curly sideburns that hang way down. Doing they're busking, they're street musicians, doing Pink Floyd covers, and it is the funniest thing you've got. They're good. I mean, don't get me wrong. They've got a couple of them out there I watched. One is Wish You Were Here, but the one that's really funny is the uncut version of Shine On You Crazy Diamond by Pink Floyd. YouTube that and look that up. I mean, you're not going to believe it. That is, but it's, it's on the streets in Jerusalem, but so these people are used to living with this sort of Damocles over their head, and yet there are people in the streets clapping and singing along, and it really is kind of inspiring from that point of view too. Not to mention the fact I do like the way they play, but to do it in a war zone is pretty cool. Anyway, that was all I wanted to say.
Okay, Rick, we appreciate the call.
You got to send me that link, Rick.
Two Jewish guys singing Pink Floyd.
Okay. We'll be back after the break. Stay tuned, guys. Ladies and gentlemen, J.R. Moore here. It's taken 3 years before I could offer the inter-shelter domes for sale. During those 3 years, several different governments and militaries were taking all their production. The inter-shelter dome homes may be just what you've been looking for to provide affordable, energy-efficient, permanent, and attractive housing. These dome homes are prefabricated units that can be assembled in a few hours by 2 men with a ladder and simple hand tools. Check out the photos of these dome homes built in the Arctic, on tropical beaches, in suburban areas, and in forests. All the details, many photographs, and the pricing of the dome homes are listed on the left-hand side of my homepage at thelibertyman.com. I think you'll find these homes are not only attractive, but they're energy efficient, and a bonus. You can disassemble them and reassemble them as many times as you feel you need to. Pretty great, huh? Something that's very, very unique. Check them out at my website at the All right, we're back, ladies and gentlemen. We're back. J.R. Moore here on Monday, the 11th day of December. Well, if you liked the Pink Floyd, the conservative Jewish men singing Pink Floyd, here's something you'll really like. Put this in YouTube. IDF, that's IDF, India Delta Foxtrot, IDF soldiers dancing to Kesha, Kesha. And there's some others there, but this is very well done. I don't want to take away from the story. It only takes a couple, maybe 2 minutes to watch this thing. But it starts out with 6 Israeli infantrymen in full battle gear walking a patrol down a street in Israel, and goes from there. And I think you'll get a kick out of it. We're visiting with Jimmy Ginsling, the proprietor of Desert Eagle Shooters. That's deserteagleshooters.com. And we're talking about all kinds of things here. Jimmy, that exercise, shooting exercise, I think is excellent. One of the police officers I work with, he got me a template to use on a 4x8 foot sheet of plywood to cut out all kinds of different openings and left to right, where you'd be anywhere from standing up full up to knee level to prone position. All these different training scenarios have a lot of value, don't they?
Oh, yes, sir. And the point that I guess we're trying to bring forward, ladies and gentlemen, is if you ever find yourself in the situation where you're defending your family or yourself, good friends, neighbors, whatever, it is never going to be like what you practice at the range. It's not going to be nice. There's not going to be a range officer making sure that the range is clear before people are going down range to change targets. It's not going to be cut and dry. You will never, and that's the reason for the training, you will never be given the opportunity to take your full stance, as instructors will put it, before you start firing. It won't happen. Things in a gunfight happen very, very fast. And I like to put, what I do out here at the range and everything is I'll give people basic training and everything, and then we'll go into what I'd prefer to call unorthodox stances. And an unorthodox stance, ladies and gentlemen, is so simple to practice, because an unorthodox stance is anything other than your standing, kneeling, or prone shooting position. Halfway between each, shooting around things, under things, over things, just basically anything your mind can conceive, John. In your training and everything, we conceal carry. I know you've got a set program that you have to cover. After what you have to cover is done, I'm sure you cover some of these situations like that.
Well, I do that in private training, but the concealed carry training, there's little interest in that and little time. We've got one day to get everybody through a structured program that's basically set by Missouri statutes and of course the NRA. So I teach the NRA protocols and I take care of the Missouri statutes. And by the time that's done, everybody's tired and ready to go home, Jimmy.
Yep. And ladies and gentlemen, if you do go through a training program like that, ask your instructor, once it's done, do they offer training in unorthodox shooting positions? Ask them if they don't do it themselves, ask if they know someone that does. If all else fails and you go to the range yourself, go over to the dumpster, pull out a couple of boxes. People always use boxes for target backers. Find a section of your range where nobody's using it and set the boxes up to shoot around them, to shoot over them. Your barricade, John, that you were talking about with the cutouts and everything, I have a trick that I ask people to do. If they make one of those and they practice with it, I've seen a couple of really neat ones that people have built that actually fold up. They put hinges on them and cut them so that they'll fold up and they'll fit in the trunk of their car. And they can carry it to the range with it.
That makes a lot of sense to do that. It absolutely does.
And but I'll give you something on that one to do as well. have a couple of extra blocks. It can be cinder tiles. It could be anything. Ammo cans work great.
Hold that thought, Jim. Hold that thought, Jim. We got a break. We got a break. Okay. We'll be right back. Stay tuned.
You are tuned in to the Republic Broadcasting Network. Visit our website by going to republicbroadcasting.org.
Ladies and gentlemen, J.R. Moore here. We're continuing our energy cleaner promotion, which began August of 2016. In this promotion, you get to buy an energy cleaner, $70 off retail, and a mattress pad, 10% off retail. $200 of the purchase price of the energy cleaner goes to Republic Broadcasting. This is a great way to help get energy cleaners out to people who need them and have some financial issues to deal with. And, of course, a great way to support Republic Broadcasting. Here's what you do. Send in a postcard. My address is John Moore, P.O. Box 201, Davidsville, Missouri. We pick a postcard every 2 weeks. If your postcard is drawn, you get the chance to buy the energy cleaner, $70 off retail, and 10% off the mattress pads. Put your name and your address, your telephone number, and your email address on the postcard, and we wish you the best of luck. Thank you. All right, we are back, ladies and gentlemen. We're back. J.R. Moore here on Monday, the 11th of December. My website is thelibertyman.com. That's thelibertyman.com. You've got people waiting for orders. I'm shipping out about 13 orders a day of energy cleaners and mattress pads. I just found out a couple of hours ago that part of the delay was due to UPS having a mix-up, which is being corrected today as we speak. So I think there's a high likelihood that all the pending orders for energy cleaners and mattress pads will be shipped before the end of this week. I know it's been a long wait for some of you folks out there. I apologize. What I thought was a seasonal delay turned out to be amplified by UPS having an issue, shall we say. I don't know what the details are yet. Anyway, regardless, energy cleaners help you have a better life. If you had arthritis pain, it will help. Joint pain, it will help. Not getting a great night's sleep, yes, it will help there also. Back pain, it will help with that. I offer a 30-day money-back guarantee. We're going to be expanding that to 90 days here pretty soon. You're risking nothing when you get your energy cleaner. If you wait, well, what are you waiting for? If you got these issues, you're taking pain medication, you're taking sleep medication, what are you waiting for? Get yourself an energy cleaner. Only $285 shipping included. Be sure and check out the factory-made fitted mattress pads. It's a great combination. Most people are getting them both from the get-go these days. Yes, I take PayPal, the most secure way to make any payment online, MasterCard, Visa. And yes, checks can be sent to my address at thelibertyman.com. I have a toll-free line 24 hours a day. Here it is, 800-592-9543. I say again, 800-592-9543. Visiting with Jimmy Ginsling, we're talking about firearms, anything and everything related to firearms, rifles, shotguns, pistols, firearms laws, pending legislation, and so forth. Jimmy, this apparently the nationwide reciprocity has been tampered with, and they've added this this very harmful expanded NICS check onto it, haven't they?
Yes, sir. And however, ladies and gentlemen, I had a very nice long discussion yesterday at the gun show with a couple of people that are they are working hand in hand with a couple of our congressmen. And the initial upset that I had, that I sent the message out on and we talked about last week and everything, may actually be a blessing in disguise, John. the bill that was passed coming out of the House, they had attached what is known as the Feinstein Amendments. The number one paragraph, I should say, in that entire Feinstein Amendments that upset me the most, and it's the one that I vocalized the greatest, is that the Feinstein Amendments state that anyone that is under the influence of pain medication can have their gun rights either overridden or actually be prevented when they go to run the NICS check, that their doctor is supposed to violate patient privilege and provide this information to the government so that they can be turned down for a gun purchase. The individual that I was talking to yesterday informed me that Dianne Feinstein may actually lose her seat because of this addition that she put in there. Because the way her amendment is worded, anyone that takes Tylenol, ibuprofen, aspirin, anything, BC powders for pain would be covered under that. And let's say that there's a shooting, self-defense shooting, and the police are going through your pockets and everything, and you've got a bottle of Advil in there, and they ask you, well, were you taking this? With her amendment, it could actually lead to you being prosecuted for premeditated murder. Well, the way this gentleman was explaining it to me, that is the first item coming back into Senate, because now they have to repass this and actually go to committee to work out the differences between the two. That is not only gone, but everybody is referring to it as the Feinstein Pill Act. And Dianne Feinstein is trying to do everything in the world she can to distance herself from this when it's her own handwriting.
Really?
Yes, and the way this guy was explaining it to me, California is, they've been fed up with her for a long time. They're actually looking at individuals to primary her or force her into retirement. Ladies and gentlemen, people will think with anything as far as laws go to get their way, and the one thing that they never consider is the unintended consequences. And from the discussions that I had this week and some of the emails that I've had back and forth with people that are actually on the front lines with this may actually be a blessing in disguise, because with them attaching that, it now puts all of those amendments up for consideration between both the House and the Senate. And there are rumors that Ryan allowed it to happen just so they could get rid of him. I still don't trust Ryan as far as I can throw him, John.
I wouldn't either. I wouldn't either.
I think Ryan's number one concern is Ryan. And for a man that adamantly refused, said he would never be Speaker of the House, they couldn't force him to doing that and everything, sure jumped at the opportunity and accepted it real quick, didn't he? So, ladies and gentlemen, do not relax. Stay on the phone to your congressmen and senators. Tell them that you want the national reciprocity to pass. You want it to go through. That any amendments that were attached after the Senate bill must be very, very thoroughly vetted. And the biggest question that this, and I've never thought about doing this, John, man that I was talking to said that if you want your congressman and senator to actually take what you're saying seriously, have them explain to you why that amendment was put on there and what good it does. Have them explain it to you. Because most of these people have not even read it. They just see that these were added and they go on with life.
Right.
If we start forcing these individuals to go on record explaining and defending these additions that were put on, they're going to disappear. So, the number, ladies and gentlemen, 202-224-3121, that goes to the Capitol Switchboard. Senators, congressmen, the House leaders, there's a lot of different numbers and people you can get in contact through that phone number. All you have to do is give the operator a name of who you want to talk to.
Right.
And they will put you over to that office. Another addition, ladies and gentlemen, if you are, say that the thorn in your side on a bill is a congressman or a senator from another state, and you call their office, if they say, well, excuse me, you're not a constituent, your comeback to them immediately is, excuse me, the bill you're passing directly affects me, so I am a constituent. Now, if they're trying to ramrod a bill for, Uncle Bobby's giant ice cream parlor in downtown of their district, that affects them, even though it is going to use tax dollars. But when it is a bill that protects your family, your life, your livelihood, then they are no longer beholden to just their constituents. They are now beholden to everyone, and don't let them forget it. So it gets interesting, John.
It does.
It gets interesting real fast. Teresa, yesterday coming back from the gun show, we were something on the top of the hour news, caught her attention. And believe me, you don't want to make me laugh, especially when it's dark and we're driving through the mountains on twisty, twindy roads, and about every 2 or 3 miles you either see deer or elk standing by the side waiting for the crosswalk sign. And Teresa, just something about whatever this was, and it was about a congressman, a senator, or some pundit. She looked at me just as deadpan as could be, and she goes, oh, these people, they never learn the old adage. And I'm kind of like, what's that, hon? And she goes, oh my, the web we weave when first we, I can't remember the exact quote, determined to deceive. That's the wrong thing to say at night when you're driving, John, you're tired.
Yep, absolutely.
You get a little bit of a laugh going. But ladies and gentlemen, right now with everything that's going on, especially what is going on in New York, I'm looking up there right now at the news. They're doing a news conference on it. James O'Neill, commissioner, I guess, is addressing it. But it's not just going to happen in New York, ladies and gentlemen. We've seen things like this happen in Vegas. We've seen it happen in schools. One of the guys at the gun show this weekend asked a very poignant question, is when are we going to see a Mumbai, I think it was Mumbai, or was it Kenya, the massive mall shooting that went on for like 3 days.
Right.
That one there, ladies and gentlemen, if you want to see how government forces handle things, I'll try to look it up and see if I've got a note on that as to exactly where. But it wound up being a 3-day standoff between terrorists and authorities, and they had shot hundreds of people in the mall, and the government came down with the great idea that the only way that we were going to get these guys out was to bring the entire mall down on top of their heads, and that's exactly what they did. And that's just the way people think sometimes, ladies and gentlemen. They forget the first 2 rules of war. First 2 rules of war in any instance is to kill people and break things. The amount of which you do either one is totally dependent on the opposition. So this brought a lot of thoughts to mind, John, this morning. If this guy is going to do a pipe bomb in New York, and now they're saying that it was a suicide vest, that the explosives were attached to his body.
Yeah,
So,
it must have been a partial detonation, or he wouldn't be around to talk about it, would he?
Right, and I'm really not even sure that he's still alive. So far I've heard that he's dead. So far I've heard that they rushed him to a hospital. Now, ladies and gentlemen, don't think that that's the news playing tricks. Everybody running around there's trying to put pieces together, and if they see an ambulance leaving with somebody in it and a reporter asks someone standing there what's going on, and the person says, well, they just took him to the hospital. Well, him could be anybody. It could be the attempted bomber. It could be one of the victims. It could be a friend of theirs. So this has only happened an hour ago. Take a breath, get a large cup of coffee, go about your normal morning and everything, but check back for developments on it and see what they have found out. We started off talking about this, John. I mentioned that when Trump signed the documents and everything, moving the embassy to Jerusalem and declaring Jerusalem as the capital of Israel, and all of these members of the religion of peace started throwing threats. The second threat that was thrown out, ladies and gentlemen, first threat was Israel can't have an embassy if Jerusalem can't have an embassy if Jerusalem isn't there. That, I think, is a very poor mindset for anyone. But they also immediately started throwing threats at the U.S. And
absolutely,
ISIS made a couple of posts that, hi, hello, America, we'll see you at Times Square, and all kinds of stuff. Yes, it can be just talk, but, John, in this situation, I take everything with a grain of salt.
We got a caller on hold here. We got Glenn in Philadelphia. Good morning, Glenn.
Good morning, Glenn. How are you this morning, sir?
Jimmy. Good morning, John. Good morning, Jimmy. All right. Two issues on my mind here. First, about the nationwide concealed carry reciprocity. A little leery about this coming from anything having to do with the federal government, because as a states' rights kind of guy, I much prefer these things to be handled at the state level. If there's federal legislation allowing for it, bear in mind the Fed gives and the Fed taketh away. So it could be sort of a camel's nose under the tent moment where you see more federal control of firearms policy. What do you think?
Excellent point, Glenn. But the bills that were all floating around prior to H.R. 38, I would have agreed with that wholeheartedly. The author of H.R. 38 spent, and this is what I got from JPFO article the other day. He actually started composing this bill a couple of years ago. Never scrapped the entire thing, only made corrections to it under recommendation to get the wording perfectly. And you and John and I and a great number of our listeners know it's not what you say in conversation or in writing, it's how you say it. It's punctuation. It's emphasis on particular things. This bill is only like a page and a half long, I think. So all the extraneous stuff has been removed. The H.R. 38 bill is almost word for word the same bill that was passed back, I think they said in the 20s or 30s, that gave reciprocity with driver's licenses. And
How about that?
Yeah,
we have a break here,
what
gentlemen.
we want.
We have a break. Everybody hold on. We'll be right back.
Do you know there is an ongoing war right here in America? Are you aware that U.S. citizens have been classified as enemies of the state since 1933? Have you recognized that our entire government is really a vast network of interlocking corporations engaged in commerce. Look up Title 28, Section 3002. Tune in to In Defense of Humanity on Saturday nights at 7 p.m. Central Time. Find out what's really going on and learn how to protect yourself and your family as flesh and blood men and women living in a corporate reality.
Ladies and gentlemen, J.R. Moore here. As most of you know, my regular listeners, I offer energy cleaners for sale at my website. If you don't have a clue what I'm talking about, go to my website, thelibertyman.com, educate yourself about these marvelous healing devices. We focus on pain mitigation and getting a great night's sleep. Arthritis pain, joint pain, back pain, doesn't matter. Keep in mind, I offer from me to you personally a 30-day money-back guarantee. That's what I do. Energy cleaners, $285, shipping included to American zip codes. You can educate yourself all about the energy cleaner right there at my website, the patent application, the wonderful testimonials. Be sure and check out the factory-made fitted mattress pads to go with the energy cleaner. Now, I offer from me to you personally a 30-day money-back guarantee. That's what I do. I have a toll-free order line, or you can order it right at my website at thelibertyman.com. The toll-free order line is 800-592-9543. I say again, 800-592-9543. Thank you.
Do you worry a lot? If you're forgetful, nervous, moody, or overwhelmed, chances are you're not protecting yourself from the ravaging effects of stress and anxiety. No matter the cause, ongoing stress and elevated levels of the stress hormone cortisol can rob your memory, your health, your quality of life, and your future. Now you can combat the effects of stress and anxiety while improving your memory and recall at the same time with the dietary supplement Calm and Clever. Studies show that the ingredients in Calm and Clever reduce cortisol by as much as 30% in as little as 1 to 2 weeks and increase your ability to recall facts, names, and numbers in 4 to 12 weeks. Calm and Clever was created by scientist Kurt Hendricks, a principal investigator in 2 NIH-funded studies on Alzheimer's disease. Try Calm and Clever for 2 months. You'll feel the difference. Call 1-800-758-8746 or go to calmandclever.com.
All right. We are back, ladies and gentlemen. We're back. J.R. Moore here on Monday, the 11th of December. Glenn, you still with us?
Yes, I am. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Go ahead.
Go Jimmy, now you've drawn an interesting analogy there to the federal reciprocity on driver's licenses, but let's run with that for a second and look at the camel's nose under the tent. When we see the Fed involving itself with national highway and vehicular policies, we had the implementation of the nationwide 55-mile-per-hour speed limit. And when the states did not want to implement this, the Fed held them hostage, saying that they wouldn't get their federal highway funds for road improvements.
Right.
So now we see, that it's very easy. You give a minute to take a mile, and you get into an overreach situation where, hey, we gave this, and now we can take away that. And now we don't have those 55-mile. Another tear in the Pennsylvania Turnpike, we can go 70 now, and that sort of thing. And but they definitely were holding the states hostage for federal highway funds, which really shouldn't be federal anyway. The road management ought to be at the state, county, and local level.
Right. Well, the highway funds come into the point of, and this, I'm not real well educated on this, except that a few people that I know that work with highway, is limited to, like, interstate. And by being able to fund interstates, they are allowed to gain some taxes off of fuel and other areas. But with the national reciprocity, and going to the driver's license part of it, the way this bill is set up, it simply is recognizing the driver's license in every state. And they can't regulate what kind of car you drive. They can't regulate other aspects of owning the car or operating the car. They can only regulate the areas that it's used, i.e. your highway funds and such as that. From what I understand, with the way H.R. 38 was written, it ties the government's hands. It basically, and one part of the blessing in disguise of the amendment that Feinstein did not take into account is that if it passes with these minor changes that are in there now, it would actually be, and I heard this on a program over the weekend. A guy was talking about, he's actually an attorney on gun rights, stated that another way to refer to that would be the Holding Government Accountable Act added to it, because if California says, I'm not going to abide by your rules and everything else, we're going to go do our own thing and this and that and everything else, because of the Feinstein amendments and everything else, well, then the feds can just say, okay, oops, you just lost your highway funds. Oops, you just lost your school funds. Oops, you just lost your medical funds, because this is a federal act. This is a federal law. Going to the background check and aspects of that. So
we have
we're
a
not
top
done
of the hour
through it yet.
break. Top of the hour break. Hold on, guys. We'll be right back. All right, we're back with Gentleman J.R. Moore here on Monday, the 11th of December. Purpose tip of the day. It's two books I recommend. I've read both of them. I think they're excellent books. The first is titled Boston's Gun Bible. The author is a pseudonym, pen name, Boston, middle initial T, Party, Boston Tea Party. The other book is The Ultimate Sniper, updated and expanded version by Major John Plaster. Excellent books. I believe you'll be very glad you got them, and keep them in your library permanently. Visiting with Jimmy Gensling, the proprietor of Desert Eagle Shooters. That website is deserteagleshooters.com. And we're talking about firearms. This is Firearms Monday. And I went back to Drudge just now, Jimmy, to see what the update is on the New York subway bomber. Apparently, there's a photograph of this guy laying here with the paramedics treating him, who didn't know how to properly construct a bomb here and blow himself up. Thank goodness. The average Muslim IQ is about 75, so they're not terribly bright people. And I'm glad that this guy was incompetent in building his bomb and wasn't able to blow himself up along with a bunch of innocent people. Okay, we're having a kind of a wide range of discussion here, and Glenn's been contributing. Glenn, do you have anything else to add before you move on, sir?
Not to that, no. Just the only concern is I don't want to see too much gun policy coming out of the Fed. But the other thing I was going to mention was, about this Jerusalem capital in Israel thing, I think it's a real tempest in a teapot, and they know it. I think it'll settle down. Erdogan of Turkey offered some objections, but it doesn't seem like, this is going to be that much. The real issues in Jerusalem are Palestine and the Temple Mount. And the Temple Mount is still controlled by the Jordanian-based organization called the Waqf. So, all this, tempest in the teapot thing about Jerusalem, it has something to do with national identity and the way people view Jerusalem. But pragmatically, it's not going to change a whole lot. And I'm, much more concerned about Temple Mount policy and the treatment of the Palestinians. And those are going to be ongoing for some time. All right, thank you, gentlemen. Have a good week.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Glenn.
Okay, Jimmy, let's go ahead and give our firearms tip of the week again, because this is the second hour. We got a lot of new listeners the second hour.
Right. I was just getting ready to step over to that. Ladies and gentlemen, unconventional shooting stances. We had some very good discussions and everything at the gun show, and the backstory is good friend of ours was talking to a young lady, and she was talking about her training. But Clark had asked her, how about shooting under your car? And it caught the young lady off guard. And what he was referring to is there is an incident coming, and let's say that you're in a parking garage or a car dealership, Walmart parking lot, I don't care where. We've talked about the difference between concealment and cover. Concealment is hiding behind the trunk of the car where bullets can come through and still harm you or your family. Cover is being at the engine end of the car where there are items between the shooter and you to help mitigate injury. Now, learn, and in your practice and everything, shooting from a low position, and I mean low, laying on the ground, laying on your side, a modified prone position, shooting under your car. The aspect that we're trying to get here is the first rule of a gunfight is don't get shot. So if you want to prevent yourself, or at least lessen the chance of being shot, you have cover. And cover is typically going to put you in a low position, because if you aim around the front of the car or over the car, before you ever see the target, you're going to be exposing yourself. So learn, one of the tricks is to take a couple of ammo cans or a couple of cinder tile blocks, anything like that. Put them on the edge of your shooting lane. Put anything you want on top of it. It can be a pipe, it can be a board, it can be a broomstick. The purpose is that all of your shooting has to be done underneath that level. So once you get that aspect worked out, lower the target. Lower the barricade a bit. And the main thing that you're going to overcome in a situation like this, especially if you're using a scoped weapon, if you're laying on your side, you're not going to be able to shoulder it properly. So you're going to come, let's go to rifles for a moment here. You're not going to be able to shoulder it properly. You're going to have to come up with a better support configuration. Fists work great. I think you can use that and think around it a little bit. But the biggest thing that is going to play with your brain is now your elevation is windage, and your windage is elevation. So it pays, ladies and gentlemen, that once you get done with your normal training and everything, start throwing some caveats in there. Spend at least 20 or 30 minutes doing things differently. Shooting offhand. If you're a right-handed shooter, shoot left-hand. Shoot low. Shoot laying on your side. Shoot laying flat. And in the handgun training, one thing that I always do to people is I have them holster their weapon, and I mimic punching them in the chest or in the face and knocking them down to where they're laying on their back, and tell them to draw their weapon and engage the target. If your holster is in the back, where some people carry it in the small of their back, drawing the weapon is practically impossible without having to roll all around. A holster on the side, on your strong side, at belt level, is difficult. You'll find out that if you use a cross draw, problem solved. But again, the tip of the day is unorthodox shooting positions and shooting stances. So something to play with and work on. Other thing too, John, and when you said it, it clicked. John Claster's book, The Ultimate Sniper, is no longer in production. The number of books that are out there right now is what is left. Paladin Press, the company that produced that book for years, is out of business now. They went out of business December the 1st, John.
Right. It's a loss to all of us in the Patriot community. They did a good job.
It really is.
For decades, and it is truly a loss. And I hope somebody will pick up the mantle and take their place. But I assume there were some attempts to sell the company before they went out of business. But it's a shame. And the prices of the Ultimate Sniper, of course, going used on Amazon will dramatically increase, I'm sure.
Right. The MSRP right now, when they updated the book 2 years ago, it went. This gives you an idea, ladies and gentlemen, of how dedicated these people were to their customers. They totally redid the book. They fixed some typographical errors in it. There were a couple of things where a couple of the paragraphs had minor jumbles in them. And after you read it about the third time, you realized what happened and corrected it in your own brain. But when they did all that work to reset the type and get everything up and running, they increased the price from $65 to $72. And most people that I know of that had done that much work to redo and put out a new edition, they would have added, it should have been probably around $80 to $100 just because of the value of that book. So, ladies and gentlemen, following John's tip, before lunch today, I would go online and look to see what's available. We have one copy left. When I got the notice that they were going to be closing down, Teresa and I increased our inventory, and, of course, word is spread, so we're down to one copy in the store right now. And I'm trying desperately to find a source for at least a few more. But I would recommend following John's advice. Go Amazon, Books A Million, whatever, and anything that, if you can find the book at $72 or less, grab it.
You won't. On Amazon, Jimmy. Right. On Amazon, used copies start at $75. New copies start at $90. So
okay.
That's where we are with that.
The move has already started. So before they are no longer available anywhere except as collector's items, ladies and gentlemen, now's the time to act if you haven't already. And it is a phenomenal book, John. Now, there is a new book out that we've been carrying for about 2 years. I had the opportunity to talk with the author, and, in fact, he sent me a copy to proofread and see if I saw any glaring errors. If any one of our listeners used to watch a series that was on called Top Shot, and it was a firearms competition, ladies and gentlemen, and you had the contestants. The contestants all used the identical weapon, not identical model, identical weapon, and were placed into different shooting scenarios, and the purpose was to see who was the top shot. Not comparing match-built rifles to off-the-shelf or rack grade. It was the same weapon between each individual. There was a young man on there that he actually won the competition. I think it was the second or third year. But John, and you can find it on YouTube, and it's under 1,000-yard full-bore offhand hit. The young man is on the range, 1,000-yard range, and he's on his rifle. He's already done the math in his head and everything, and he does a 1,000-yard full-bore first shot hit on a steel target offhand.
Yep. I've seen that. I personally watched that. I've got the steel plate that a friend of mine, he's been on this show several times, Sam Andrews. He did that with a custom cartridge that he developed, a 30 caliber Wolf, and I've still got the steel plate with a hole through it from 1,000 yards, offhand, first shot.
Well,
yep.
That's the young man that wrote this book, and the title, and we carry it in the store. It's called the handbook, Long Range Shooter's Handbook on the basics, and that's the magic word, basics. This young man has got the ability to write John in a manner that where John Plaster is an excellent, excellent instructor, he has a problem that I have. And when you're describing a complex or complicated firing solution and how to arrive to it, it gets very complicated. And my Theodore dog is glad to see me back from the gun show. It's his tail user something on the floor.
I hear that. I thought you had a nervous
He's just a very happy
Now,
puppy.
this is the book you're describing, and the author is Ryan Kleckner?
Yes, sir. Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. Well,
ladies
it looks like
and gentlemen, it's a $24.99 book.
Right.
And it is excellent because he goes through every aspect of long-range shooting and the math involved, the techniques, everything involved to do the shot, but he puts it down into everyday language to where you do not get frustrated. That is John and mine's biggest dilemma that we have with students in any manner of the shooting sports or the gun culture is our students get frustrated because John can do what he is describing without thought. I can do what I'm describing without thought. It's mechanical. And we can make adjustments on the fly. The student can't do that. They don't have the knowledge base built in and the years of experience to make adjustments. To be a perfect example, whenever we're doing long-range shooting, I teach my students, do not dial in wind corrections on the scope. You can dial in spin drift or Coriolis corrections, which is another whole topic, ladies and gentlemen. But wind, never dial it in because wind is not constant. And if you go through your firing solution and it says that you need to hold 82 inches to the right to compensate for the wind, and you dial that in on your scope, and you're looking at your target getting ready to squeeze, and you're watching the flags, say it's in a competition and you're watching the range flags, and they're standing out straight, and just about the time that your finger starts to touch the trigger, all the flags go slack.
Oh, yes.
Because the wind just quit. You've dialed this in, and now, if it's a timed event, you've just shot yourself in the foot, unintended. Because you now have to take this out that you just dialed in. I teach, and my method and everything is when you're doing wind correction, to do it with the mil dots that are in the scope or other measurements that are built into the scope. There's several different types of scope reticles: mil dot, duplex, P4 sniper, MOA. Depending on your scope, I teach to hold off. That way, if the flags simply die, ladies and gentlemen, you pull it over and you hold dead on.
There you go.
Or to whatever minor correction you've got. This young man, Mr. Kleckner, has got ability to put that down to where you go, yeah, that works, instead of what did he say? And Plaster, I love his books. I've watched his videos, had the opportunity to shake his hand, and introduce myself at Cabela's in Denver many years ago.
Hold that thought, Jimmy. We got a break. We'll be right back. Ladies and gentlemen, J.R. Moore here. It's taken 3 years before I could offer the inter-shelter domes for sale. During those 3 years, several different governments and militaries were taking all their production. The inter-shelter dome homes may be just what you've been looking for to provide affordable, energy-efficient, permanent, and attractive housing. These dome homes are prefabricated units that can be assembled in a few hours by 2 men with a ladder and simple hand tools. Check out the photos of these dome homes built in the Arctic, on tropical beaches, in suburban areas, and in forests. All the details, many photographs, and the pricing of the dome homes are listed on the left-hand side of my homepage at thelibertyman.com. I think you'll find these homes are not only attractive, but they're energy efficient, and a bonus. You can disassemble them and reassemble them as many times as you feel you need to. Pretty great, huh? Something that's very, very unique. Check them out at my website at thelibertyman.com. All right, we are back, ladies and gentlemen. We're back. J.R. Moore here on Monday, the 11th day of December. The year's quickly getting away from us here. Visiting with Jimmy Ginsling, the proprietor of Desert Eagle Shooters. That's deserteagleshooters.com. And if you have any question or comment, this is Firearms Monday. Give us a call. 800-313-9443. I was looking at the review of that book you mentioned there, Jimmy, on Amazon. It looks like an excellent book that I'm probably going to go ahead and add it to my library, and I thank you for mentioning it.
Oh, it is. And the young man, ladies and gentlemen, I have to explain something here. John is very well aware of it, and Tim is very well aware of it. For lack of a better term, I'm an old fart. So anyone younger than Noah is a kid to me. So that's where I get off on calling these, young men and kids and stuff like that. It absolutely no degradation to them or anything. It's actually it's a appreciation of having someone to be able to come in and take my spot in life and what I do and do it better than I did. And that's what I always hope. Whenever we train, that is my true standard, is to find someone that can replace me and do a better job of it than I do. So this young man, though, he is a phenomenal writer in the fact that he puts it down so simply, John. We were talking about plaster and everything. I think I have read everything that he's done up to and including a very hard to get, in fact, a guy told me almost impossible, it's Plaster's Field Notes. And it's literally a diary of notes that he made when he was with training cadre. And different situations that he would run to with students, overcoming this or that or whatever, and this was basically a diary that he had just jotted down and someone had actually published. It was a limited publication. I think it was Paladin that actually did it, but I think it was over a year or something. They'd only sold like 4 copies and 2 of them were mine. But excellent notes. But the guy does, just like I talk sometimes, have the ability to take the mundane and often quite simple and get it complicated to the point that everybody just is flustered.
You're talking about
Ladies
plaster.
and gentlemen, yes.
Yeah, well, I could see where a lot of people could take it that way, yes.
But he's teaching, he's old school like we are, John. And the students that came into their shooting programs, they had already proved themselves and had requested to be, on the shooting team or as a sniper or marksman or whatever particular class that they were running, and had the, I guess the realization that even though they made it to the class, if they weren't progressing to the point that the cadre expected in the first week or two, they could be bumped out and sent home. And nowadays, one of our real good friends, he's a recruiter for the Army over in Alamogordo. We were discussing how his job is doing because he's getting ready to finish that assignment and go to Korea for a year. And he's actually looking forward, John, to going to Korea because dealing with students in high schools and everything have given this young man of 35, I think he is, gray hair, trying to explain what the Army is and what a military life is to high school students has aged this young man. So it's kind of an inside joke, ladies and gentlemen, when John and I are talking about someone looking forward to drawing an assignment to Korea over what they've been doing. You can only imagine how frustrating what they've been doing is. But ladies and gentlemen, on your training aspect and everything, the best advice that I've ever given anyone is if you're with a group and like an Appleseed, for example, and it's Sunday and everybody's running the AQTs, and which is Army Qualification Test, and you're getting frustrated and you know you can shoot better and it appears that your scores are going down instead of up, park the rifle, go back, get you something to drink, cup of coffee, soda, big bottle of water, whatever. You'll find at least one of the instructors sitting on the back of the range right there, of the shooters, just watching, and just sit down beside them, and you don't have to say anything at all. Just take a break from a couple of runs on it and watch. Let your body calm down. Let your brain kind of disengage, because what you're doing unintentionally and subconsciously is you're forcing yourself
hold
to
that
try
thought.
to be perfect.
Hold that thought. Hold that thought, Jim. We got a break. We'll be right back.
You are tuned in to the Republic Broadcasting Network. Visit our website by going to republicbroadcasting.org.
Ladies and gentlemen, J.R. Moore here. We're continuing our energy cleaner promotion, which began August of 2016. In this promotion, you get to buy an energy cleaner, $70 off retail, and a mattress pad, 10% off retail. $200 of the purchase price of the energy cleaner goes to Republic Broadcasting. This is a great way to help get energy cleaners out to people who need them and have some financial issues to deal with. And, of course, a great way to support Republic Broadcasting. Here's what you do. Send in a postcard. My address is John Moore, P.O. Box 201, Davidsville, Missouri. We pick a postcard every 2 weeks. If your postcard is drawn, you get the chance to buy the energy cleaner, $70 off retail, and 10% off the mattress pads. Put your name and your address, your telephone number, and your email address on the postcard, and we wish you the best of luck. Thank you. All right, we are back, ladies and gentlemen. We're back. J.R. Moore here on Monday, the 11th of December. We're close to wrapping up our big year here of our listeners. That's you guys out there. Finding images of continents with new coastlines on TV shows and movies. It's a long list. With what we found so far, I wouldn't be surprised to see it double or even triple. The images are right there at my website at thelibertyman.com. Going back to the early to mid-1950s of all things. If you find another one, get that image to me, the screen capture. You get your choice of any of my 5 DVDs as a thank you. Let's keep that moving forward. It's a lot of fun. Also, my website, of course, on energy cleaners. We're getting caught up this week. We've had some issues with the holiday rush, and UPS screwed up getting a bunch of mattress pads to me. That's being corrected today. So we're getting everything out the door this week and ready to take fresh orders on energy cleaners and mattress pads. If you have arthritis pain, joint pain, back pain, what are you waiting for? Get yourself an energy cleaner. A good portion of my orders these days are people getting a gift for a sibling, spouse, one of their children, or their hang in there, Jimmy. And so get yourself an energy cleaner. There's only $285 shipping included, with a great money-back guarantee on them. I do take PayPal, MasterCard, Visa, or you can send me a check at my address at thelibertyman.com. Toll-free order line, here it is, 800-592-9543. I say again, 800-592-9543. Taking your questions, calls, and comments. This is Firearms Monday. The call number is 800-313-9443. And we're visiting with Jimmy Gensling, who's with Desert Eagle Shooters at deserteagleshooters.com. I got a note here, Jimmy, that you got to take a quick look at the IDF soldiers dancing to Keisha. It's pretty funny, isn't it?
Yes, it is. Yeah, I figured I had to send that out to everybody.
It's, if you didn't know, didn't see the little title below it, you would think these guys are really on a combat patrol, wouldn't you?
Oh yeah. Because it looks, their spacing, their movement.
It's authentic.
And then when the music starts.
Yeah, right. Yeah, a little humor goes a long way. And the name of the music is TikTok by Keisha.
Yeah, and it's one of those things, ladies and gentlemen. Humor is indeed the best medicine. We were discussing right there before the break. I was saying that using the Appleseed as an example, that you're on the Sunday AQTs and going for your rifleman score, and your scores are going down instead of going up. The only person to blame for that, ladies and gentlemen, is yourself. You're pushing yourself. So this is the same with handgun training, tactical training, anything like that. Once you start getting frustrated, your learning curve stops. And I've had some people say, well, it diminishes. No, I think it actually stops, because you're pushing yourself. Every minor change in score in the wrong direction, your frustration gets bigger. And I do this a lot of times with people at Appleseed. I'll see that they're excellent and they're doing great and it's getting worse. Go over and take them to the side. Sit down. We'll not even be talking about the AQT or how they're doing or anything else. We'll discuss something, how's the kids doing? Understand your daughter's in college and everything. Does she like it? Blah, blah, blah. And get the mind off of it. Relax for a few minutes. Have some coffee, soda, water, whatever it is that you drink. And set out a couple of them and then go back. You'll be amazed, because it's kind of a reset button for your brain. And in training and everything, I've seen people spend ungodly amounts of money on training, and a first-time student just smokes them. They don't even have a snowball's chance of doing better than this new person, and it drives them buggy. And it's all because if they get to that frustrating level and they don't stop, and they start amplifying bad habits. And John and I have discussed it many, many times. You want to develop muscle memory, and what muscle memory is when you pull up anything, rifle, handgun, shotgun, your muscle memory takes over. You automatically get your cheek weld without thinking about it. You automatically get your sight alignment without thinking about it. And that allows the shooter to focus on the target and shot placement. If you're in going back to the Appleseed, if you're shooting AQTs, getting frustrated, then you're starting to impart bad habits into your muscle memory. Do it with handguns. Do it with any kind of training there is, ladies and gentlemen. So once you notice your score automatically starting to dip, that's the first sign to take a break, sit back. Don't even think about what you're doing. Don't even think about the targets. Don't start trying to analyze yourself. Think of something entirely different. You know, your great-great-great-granddog's special recipe for barbecued chicken. I don't care. But let your mind go into reset and then go back out, start with the fundamentals, focus on the basics, and continue. And you'll find out that you do much better. I'm sure you see that all the time with people trying to qualify for concealed carry, John.
Well, we moved through, and it's a mixed bag. Men who've had decades of experience, women who've had some but not a lot of experience, people who have health issues and hand strength issues, and sometimes I got people that are as skilled as I am, and I will turn them into an assistant instructor to help out as needed. So I give individual instruction as necessary. The people who aren't having any issues, I try to make sure that I have, when I shoot two shooters at a time, that one shooter will be experienced and competent, and the other one is more likely to need help. So I can give help as necessary to the shooter that needs it, while the competent shooter can get that lead down range and not need anything except maybe a minor pointer here or there.
Right.
So I try to avoid I try to avoid having two shooters that need help on the range at the same time.
Exactly. And one of the techniques that we use at Appleseed and everything is we team individuals up, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. They take these two shooters and put them together. Now, if they are father-son, mother-daughter, brother-sister, husband-wife, we split them. We get a non-related individual with them. And we go through the dry fire drill, and they will have their magazine laying there, and all the ammunition will be laying on the ground. And the shooter, it gets a steady hold factor. Typically, we'll do this in prone position. Get the shooter in prone position, ready to go, and their partner will load the magazine for them and charge the weapon. And in doing so, the shooter will be looking down away from the rifle itself, and they will not know if their partner put a live round in or it's an empty chamber. And they will go through all of their steady hold factors and everything and take the shot at the target. Sometimes it will be a dry fire, sometimes it will be a live round. But what we're doing is the instructors will be with them for the first part, and then we allow them just to critique each other. And they're looking for the common problems. Trigger position, dragging wood, death grip on the forestock, all the things that can make a shot not good. They're looking over and diagnosing each other. Now, the caveat is once you're done with your partner, they're going to do it to you. So that just gives you an idea how hard you want to make this on them. And like you're saying with your assistant instructors, this puts each one of them into an assistant instructor position, but also allows them to understand more fully the drawbacks of dragging wood, jerking the trigger, no follow through, whatever, and it becomes a team effort on it. Ladies and gentlemen, your shooting partner can be your best friend and your best instructor on the range. If you've got the basics down, you sit there and watch them shoot, they watch you shoot. And by doing the loading the magazine and charging the weapon, the shooter doesn't know, like I said, if it's a live round or it's going to be a dry fire. But that one automatically, John, picks up flinches. And it's amazing how an experienced shooter that's been shooting forever, they're shooting a .22 rifle on a 25-yard range, and they'll flinch. That is the most embarrassing thing in the world to happen to a shooter, ladies and gentlemen, especially one that's got time under their belt. And get your partner together. Go out there and practice together. Practice unorthodox shooting platforms. Practice weak side shooting. Last week we talked about becoming fully familiar with your spouse, significant other, child, whatever's handgun. And this is the time of year, ladies and gentlemen, for New Year's resolutions. Let's all make a New Year's resolution to improve our shooting ability and our technique. And it's a simple one, because if you can get to the range once a week, great. If you can get to the range once a month, fantastic. You're still getting to the range.
Absolutely.
And I think that's a very doable one, John.
It is. It is, absolutely. And with ammunition getting back down to reasonable prices, there's no excuse anymore, is there?
No. There are still some those out there, ladies and gentlemen, at local shops that bought their 22 ammunition when prices were high, and they are refusing to take a loss on it. I guess it would be the only way to put it. They're refusing to come down on the price because they know what they paid for it during the scare. To those individuals, I have two suggestions. One, take the loss and build a better client relationship. Or two, use it yourself and go out and practice. Because sitting there waiting for the golden moment that the man will pay anything for a box of 22 ammo, I think is dead and gone.
No, that's we can't prognosticate the future. Just suck it up and get on with life, basically.
Yep. I saw a guy at the gun show in Rio Dosa. He had 50-round boxes of 22 mag for $38 a box.
Oh, come on.
He didn't sell any of them.
I bet.
That's what he had paid. He had paid for those back in the crunch when everybody was hoarding ammo, and
right.
It was expensive. And I just walked by and looked at it and looked at the price, and I'm going, keep an eye on this guy and see what the price comes down to before he can sell it, because there were guys just down from him that had 50-round boxes of Winchester 22 mag, and I think it was like $12 and something.
I was going to say around 10 or so, 12. Yeah, that's about right.
Yeah.
Yep. Oh, well. Live and learn.
Oh, well, such is life.
Yep.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're John and I will be having the first show of the year within just a few weeks. And think about
4 weeks from today. 4 weeks. Well, we'll probably not. I doubt we'll have a live show on January 1st, which would be a Monday. If there is, I'll be here, because it's not a big deal for me. But maybe it's probably
I'll
a bit
be
early.
here as well.
My engineer to know whether we'll do a live show or not. But
well,
so
we'll just
5
tell
weeks.
Sam to show up and then lock the door when he's done.
Well, it's 4 weeks from today. It'll be the 1st of January. Yep.
So think about your New Year's resolutions, ladies and gentlemen. The purpose of a New Year's resolution is to make a change in your life, normally for the better. And look at your calendars ahead of time. Just start planning it out. Leon is a great example, ladies and gentlemen. He spends a lot of time at Front Sight when he can, and he plans it around his family as a trip for the family. They go out, they go camping, they go through their training there and everything. They spend evening hours together as a family. Start using his example. Teresa and I are going to be doing the same thing this year. Now that she's fully retired, we're going to make changes. Now that, well, spending more time together is always great, but also doing things that we haven't been able to do together for a long time. So start thinking about your resolutions now, and maybe your resolution is going to be to start reloading just for one caliber. Maybe it's going to be to learn long-range precision or even long-range shooting. There's a difference. We'll cover that next time. But look at your training schedule and look at your ammo needs and start planning accordingly. Because any improvement that you make on your shooting ability or your family member's shooting ability is insurance. And by that I mean it's insurance in the fact that you're improving survivability of yourself, your family, your friends, those around you that mean something.
And you turn yourself into an instructor that you can teach the people that you need to teach.
Exactly.
Hold that thought, Jimmy. Hold that thought. We got our last break. We'll be right back. Monday, the 11th of December, visiting with Jimmy Jensling. His website's deserteagleshooters.com. All right, we're down to about the last 3 minutes here, Jimmy.
Yep, and hopefully we didn't disrupt the show as we were going through. All during the show, since we got in late last night from the gun show, due to go into back surgery here in about 5 hours for a procedure. So all during the show, between breaks and stuff, I've been repacking a few things and moving a few things around, so hopefully we didn't disrupt our listeners. But, ladies and gentlemen, we're getting down to that time. We've all talked about it, discussed it from time to time. This little incident this morning in New York. These people have been threatening this to the United States for a long time. I'm much afraid that some of them are emboldened more because we've got a president now that doesn't take dirt off nobody. And, don't know, this may be an interesting few weeks, John. So keep your training above all else, ladies and gentlemen. Keep up with your training. Keep very, very aware of everything around you. Don't get into a lackadaisical attitude. If you're shopping, if you're in crowds, just don't go in there fearful, but go in observant. Because John and I want to keep all of our listeners for a very long time, and because it's all part of family. So, what are your thoughts on that, John?
Well, I agree. People need to keep their situational awareness up, work on their training. It's a constant process, and just do that. Be diligent and work in your training. Work on the basics. Get the basics squared away, real solid, and then move on from there.
Exactly. And in your trainees, and ladies and gentlemen, if you're doing something that doesn't seem to work, change it. That's the reason for training. Nothing is set in stone. And you cannot be expected to perform at one standard when either lack of experience or possible lack of movement, flexibility, things like that prevent it. Find ways around things. The most impressive thing is to sit there and look like you're out of shape and look like you might be inexperienced, And then on a score of a possible 100, you're shooting 96s, and all the young bucks are looking at you going, what?
Right.
It's always fun, John.
It is. It is, absolutely. Well, I don't want to be cut off by the music here, Jimmy. It's been a good show, as always. Look forward to having you back next Monday, sir.
We will be here, sir. And everybody enjoy the week and have a great time. Take care.
All right. Thank you. Okay, we've got a full week ahead of us, as usual. Tomorrow morning we'll have open lines the first hour, Leon Green the second hour. Professor McKinney will be with us Wednesday. I'm not sure about Tim Spencer being with us Thursday. If he's up to it, we will have Tim. Don Kublay's off getting a dome set up all over the planet, and so we're not sure about Don Thursday. Okay, this is it for the day. Get your medical supplies, your energy cleaner, your essential oils now while you can, your firearms and ammunition. Never, ever give up your guns. Please do have a fun, safe, productive day, and God bless America.